Good evening, everyone. A pleasure in opening the Ordinary Council meeting of the 16th of December 2025 at 6:30 p.m. and welcome all those in attendance. I wish to inform you that the meeting is being live streamed and recorded. The video will appear on the Council's website and YouTube channel. The public gallery will not be recorded unless accidentally, and only a participant in the meeting, namely a person asking questions at public question time, will be live streamed and recorded. If you wish to ask a question at public question time, your voice and image will be recorded and live streamed. If you do not consent to your voice and image being recorded and live streamed to the public, then you will need to leave the meeting. By staying at this meeting, you consent to your voice and image being live streamed and recorded. No other electronic, visual or audio recording device or instrument can be used to record the proceedings of this meeting without prior written permission from Council, as per the City of Belmont Standing Orders, Local Law. Acknowledgement of country. Before I begin, I would like to acknowledge the Whadjuk Noongar people as the traditional owners of this land and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. I further acknowledge their cultural heritage, beliefs, connection and relationship with this land which continues today. Councillor Marks, would you please read aloud the affirmation of civic duty and responsibility on behalf of elected members present?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I make this affirmation in good faith and declare that I will duly, faithfully, honestly and with integrity fulfil the duties of my office for all the people of the City of Belmont according to the best of my judgment and ability. I will observe the City's Code of Conduct and standing orders to ensure efficient, effective and orderly decision making within this forum. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Apologies. I've received an apology from Ms Dabala, Manager of Governance and Legal. I note that we have Councillor Harris joining us electronically this evening. As such, can elected members and officers please ensure they speak directly into the microphone for audio purposes. Councillor Harris, could you confirm your presence and formally declare your electronic attendance? Councillor Harris, can you hear me? Councillor Harris, can you hear me?
Sorry. I cannot hear at the moment the declaration of attendance. Where was that? Oh, yes. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Councillor Harris.
I can't hear you, but that looked like a yes. I declare that the location from which I am attending is safe, quiet, private, devoid of distractions, and where a meeting is closed to the public, a place where confidentiality can be maintained.
Thank you, Councillor Harris. But my concern is, can you hear me? No, you cannot hear me. We're trying to sort that out.
Councillor Harris, can you hear this?
We will proceed to the next part and hopefully it will be resolved. Leave of absence. I note there are no councillors recorded as having a leave of absence for this meeting. Declarations of interest. Will the Coordinator of Governance please advise of those declarations made to date, please? Financial interest, please.
No declarations of financial interests have been received.
A financial interest. Okay, thank you. Disclosure of interest affecting impartiality.
Thank you. Through the Chair, disclosure of interest affecting impartiality have been received as follows. Councillor Davis has declared an interest in item 12.2, Perth Airport Preliminary Draft Master Plan, City of Belmont submission, as they are a member of the Perth Airport Community Briefing Group. Thank you. A disclosure has been received from Councillor Ryan for item 12.2 for the Perth Airport Preliminary Master Plan, due to being a member of the Airport Consultative Environment and Sustainability Group. A declaration of interest has been received from Mayor Rossi for item 12.1, as they are on the board of the National Trust of the Western Australian, who identify significant trees throughout WA. And item for Mayor Rossi, a disclosure has been received for item 12.2 on Perth Airport Preliminary Master Plan, as they are a member of the Perth Airport Community Briefing Group.
Thank you very much. Announcements. I have one. I wish to begin by acknowledging the distressing and tragic events at Bondi Beach. That such violence occurred in a place so familiar to so many Australians has touched all Australians. Our thoughts are with the victims, their families, the loved ones, and with all those who witnessed and were impacted by what occurred. We hope and pray that those who were injured recover fully, and that we honour the memory of those who lost their lives. It is 6:37 p.m. I'll read the disclaimer. I wish to draw attention to the disclaimer notice contained with the agenda document and advise members of the public that any decisions made at this meeting tonight can be revoked pursuant to the Local Government Act of 1995. Therefore, members of the public should not rely on any decisions until formal notification in writing from the City has been received. Before I move forward, because it involves a declaration, we'll wait to see if we can get Councillor Harris. As we don't seem to be able to get him online at the moment, we'll adjourn just for 5 minutes to give them extra time.
Can you hear us now, Councillor Harris?
We'll move on. We'll do our best as we can. We've got him on the phone and we'll just continue on. 4.3, declarations by members who have not given due consideration to all matters contained in the business papers present before the meeting. Are there any declarations to be made by councillors? There's none. I'm hearing nothing on the phone, so we can move on. That's good. Responses to questions taken on notice. Responses to questions taken on notice from the ordinary council meeting on the 25th of November are noted in the agenda for Ms Hollands on behalf of Belmont Resident Ratepayer Action Group, Mr Cardoso, Ms Padua, Mr Russell, Ms G. Questions by members of the public. It is 6:42 p.m. and open public question time and draw attention to the public gallery to the rules of public question time as written in question time form. I remind members of the public of the standing orders, local law requirements for members of the public to extend due courtesy and respect to both councillors and employees. As we have Councillor Harris joining us electronically, or right now on the phone this evening, can all members of the public please ensure you speak directly into the microphone for audio purposes. Please do not use inappropriate, objectionable or untruthful expressions or expressions that reflect adversely on the character or actions of councillors or employees. If any expression is deemed inappropriate, you'll be directed to withdraw the expression and apologise. If you do not comply, I'll have to end your question. Lastly, I remind and caution everyone present at the meeting to refrain from making defamatory statements, especially as the proceedings are now live streamed. Under the City Standing Orders, Local Law 2017, members of the public can ask up to 2 questions and you have a maximum of 2 minutes per question for the question to be asked and answered. As presiding member tonight, I will allow up to 4 questions per person. Please note that sub-questions being questions within questions will be counted towards the total number of questions permitted. The question number and time limit is to allow fair and equal opportunity for everyone to ask their questions before the proceedings continue. At the moment, I have 4 members of the public who have given prior notice to ask questions, there being Ms Hollands from Redcliffe, Ms Hollands on behalf of Bragg, Marta Cardoso on behalf of East Ward Connect. Is there anybody else that wishes to? Ms G. Thank you. When you come forward, please state your name and suburb only. Please ask your question, noting you have 2 minutes per question for the question to be asked and answered. Ms Hollands, please come forward.
Good evening, Mayor and councillors, and Councillor Harris. Thank you for trying to attend tonight. Firstly, I do not give consent to be on camera and any perceived consents under duress. So the Bragg questions, first one. Yesterday we contacted the Mayor about cancelling the annual electors meeting out of respect for what had happened in Bondi. We were advised by the Mayor the meeting would go ahead. Due to attending many years of annual electors meetings, we believe they're a complete waste of time, as councillors at the next OCM have only once taken out the electors meeting item for discussion, so it looks like they're actually interested in what the resident has to say. Bragg did not bother spending time to prepare any motions last night due to the effort required, and so 4 of us left prior to the residents' motions, as we believe you're not interested in hearing what we have to say. And we did, however, want questions about the actual annual report to be minuted, and we hope that will happen. So my question. Councillor Harris was the only councillor that showed up. The Mayor was presiding and the Deputy Mayor was elsewhere listening. Of course, we were not seeing councillor sessions on the screen, so we don't know how long she stayed. Were councillors Davis, Sakula, Marks, Ryan, Kuljitsky and Aberdeen made aware of the meeting? And if so, was their failure to attend because they don't understand the importance of this meeting to residents, or was it clearly just to do with scheduling it at a time when both residents and council have other commitments at the Christmas period?
Before I go to the CEO, I wish to correct you. I definitely remember Councillor Sessions saying goodbye at the end.
I didn't
So
hear
she
that. I
was
wasn't
she
there.
was live the whole time.
Yep.
But I'll over to the CEO.
Thank you, Worship. Every councillor here knew of the annual electors meeting, and obviously if they were able to attend, they were in attendance. The role of elected members is limited at an electors meeting. They have basically no role to play. They don't participate in the meeting, but the councillors knew, and those who couldn't attend had certainly given their apologies.
Sorry, what was that last bit? I couldn't understand. What was that last bit you said?
Could you repeat the last few words?
And I said that, and some of the councillors that attended were not did register their apologies for the event.
Okay. At the annual electors meeting, Mayor Rossi asserts he follows the rules with respect to determining whether or not someone is directly affected when they request for a deputation or submission at an agenda briefing forum. As we know, directly affected is not defined in the standing orders. For the public listening on to this live stream, the reason deputations are important is because councillors get the option to ask questions of the presenter so they are clear on what is being presented. 6.6 deputation of the standing order reads, a person or group directly affected by a matter on the agenda paper and wishing to be received as a deputation by council is 1B, with the approval of the presiding member at the meeting, and you can address the council. We see many deputations from representatives such as the person representing Perth Racing, a developer who sends another planner to speak for them. The person who is actually speaking is not personally directly affected. They are merely a representative of someone else, but the directly affected rule does not apply to them. So my question, as directly affected is not defined, and it is up to the Mayor to decide as per section 661B, why do you keep denying the opportunity for other councillors to hear what we have to say and potentially ask questions so all councillors get the same information? Because clearly you can do it under the standing orders. That's why I'm asking why you personally won't do it.
I am following it as I believe it's correctly, and sorry, we've just lost Councillor Harris.
I can hear you. I'm back fully on Teams. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Harris. We can hear you. I'm applying, as I said last night, as I believe fairly, and that is the end of it. You keep on asking this, and I keep on saying it. No, sorry.
You did state that you follow the rules, and there is the rule that I've just read out that does state you can make the decision personally.
Mr. CEO wishes to add something.
Thank you, Worship. I think you already answered this question last night at the electors meeting, as did I. And I just want to make it clear, just because someone may have an opinion on something that's on the agenda does not necessarily mean they're directly affected. The Mayor applies those standing orders consistently, and to prove that you're directly affected is something you need to do before you can give a submission or a deputation, not just because you have an opinion on the matter. Thank you, Worship.
Next question, please.
Okay, so a follow-up to that. Why then do you allow people to come in being represented, whether it be Perth Racing, a developer, when the person presenting is not directly affected, but you allow that?
They are linked to the potential development or whatever is before us.
You are asking them how they're directly affected. And if you're applying the same rule fairly, I'm asking why they're allowed to do it, but we are not. Because you make the decision. That's all.
If they've created the plan, for example, of course they are directly affected. It's their plan, for example. So why wouldn't the people who present the plan for the race course not be able to present and speak on it?
Because that's not the person, it's their representative. That's why I'm asking.
Over to the CEO if he wishes to add some more.
Well, all I'm going to say, Your Worship, is I believe you apply the standing orders appropriately. Where a planning consultant comes in, they're representing the applicant, and they are representing them in the chamber to talk either for or against what council officers have discussed with the applicant and the planning consultant, and therefore they represent them, and I believe you apply the standing orders consistently. Thank you, Worship.
Next question, please.
We often hear the CEO jump in when responding to questions that he found to be certain comments offensive or derogatory. In fact, he did that to Mr Hitt at the annual electors meeting. Section 6.4 of the Standing Orders, withdrawal of offensive language by the public, reads, 2, a person who, in the opinion of the presiding member, uses an expression which A, reflects adversely on the character of the actions of a member or employee, imputes any motive to a member or employee, or is offensive or objectionable, must be directed by the presiding member to withdraw the expression and make an apology that is, in the opinion of the presiding member, is satisfactory. So my question, it clearly states in the opinion of the presiding member, so have the words in the standing orders been changed to the opinion of the CEO or presiding member without going through the gazetted channels? Or does the Mayor and CEO have different opinions on offensive language, or why is this happening when it's up to your decision, Mayor?
Mr CEO?
Thank you, Worship. I have an obligation as CEO when anyone is in this building, and I have to provide a safe working environment under the work health and safety legislation. That includes when people are attending this meeting.
So you're not following the standing orders, is that what you're saying?
No, excuse me. So if I hear something that I believe is in accordance, in breach of those standing orders, while I may interject, you're quite right. The presiding member makes that ruling, and that is up to the presiding member. I don't make that ruling. Last night I asked that a comment be withdrawn because I felt it was offensive, and the gentleman who made that comment refused to withdraw that comment. And so therefore it's up to the presiding member to determine whether that is withdrawn, whether it's requested it be withdrawn, whether he leaves the chamber, or whether or not it's withdrawn from the minutes. So the presiding member will ultimately make that decision, but that does not stop me from ensuring this is a safe working environment for everyone in this building. Thank you, Your Worship.
Remember former councillor Paul Hitt sat down. So I did not need to do any more because he had sat down. Thank you. Your questions and your personal questions,
Okay,
please.
thank you. There are 3 policies on the list tonight, being CP20, elected members' fees, allowances, support. CP21, elected members' professional development, unauthorised travel. CP28, legal representation for elected members and employees. This gives the potential for councillors to have a direct financial interest as potentially they gain financially. Previously, financial interests have been lodged and approved by the Minister, as a failure to do so is a serious breach. So my question, why has no councillor declared a financial interest in these policies? And if the administration wished to claim for whatever reason that it's not necessary, please provide the relevant legislation. Was it be appropriate to get it tonight as opposed to taking it on notice? As one would hope, councillors have asked the questions about the declaration and you've given them the relative section of the Act that needs to comply with, which says
First
that
go
they
to
don't need
the
to.
CEO.
Thank you, Worship. There's a lot there. I'll need to take that question on notice.
Question, please.
So you didn't, this council haven't been given this information before the meeting?
Question?
Last meeting, I asked for the
Sorry, the
date.
CEO will answer. Sorry, just thank you.
Thank you, Worship. Councillors are well aware of their responsibilities when it comes to making declarations of interest. Thank you, Worship.
Last meeting, I asked for the dates the original advisory groups were voted and instigated by the council. I also asked for when the terms of reference were changed each time. Apparently, this is going to use too many resources, and for those listening to this, I'm trying to get to the bottom of why all of a sudden councillors will not be on these advisory groups after doing so for many years. I also asked where I can get hold of the minutes that relate to this, which was not answered. I came to the city asking for the minutes of OCMs so I can research it myself. And to date, no one has even got back to me. I've been in touch with the State Record Office, who have said you need to, that the city needs to provide them, and you don't have to do it under FOI. So my question, when will the minutes as requested be made available to me? And if you're not going to give them to me, so I can do my own research, please put that in writing so I can follow this up with the State Record Office under the form of a complaint so they can try to obtain them.
Mr. CEO,
Thank you, Worship. My recollection is I have responded along the lines. The request that you have made was you're expecting staff to find minutes of every council meeting from today back to the year 2000. And the response, I believe, mentioned that things were in archive and that would divert significant resources of staff to try and locate these. There are 5 years of minutes available on the council's website, and I was not prepared to allocate significant resources to search back 25 years of council minutes. Thank you, Your Worship.
That wasn't
Thank
actually
you.
the question I asked. I asked when will I be getting the minutes that I've come into the city to request?
I believe he said that was in the email, but I refer back to the CEO.
I
Sure, I
came
heard
in
that.
last Wednesday after the meeting to save you doing your research. I just want the minutes, thanks.
Sorry, could you speak clearly and nicely?
I came in last Wednesday, I think it was, and I spoke to the girl on the counter. I requested these minutes, and she told me she would get somebody to contact me. There has been no contact. I'd like to know when I'll get the minutes.
I believe you have been contacted, possibly by email, because that's what I've been hearing from the CEO, but I'll get the CEO to repeat it again.
Thank you, Worship. I will confirm tomorrow, but my recollection is an email was sent a few days later outlining what I had previously responded. There are 5 years of OCM minutes available on the website, and I'm not prepared to divert any more resources to find another 20 years of council minutes which are contained in archives.
Well, if
Thank
I've
you,
got that
Worship.
in writing, I'll have to go to the State Record Office because they've assured me I'm allowed to have them.
Thank you. Your last question?
Yeah, I also asked at the last meeting, with respect to these advisory groups, can the city provide the section of the Local Government Act 1995 amendments that now sees these groups are seen as administrative, and does it specifically state that councillors are no longer allowed to be on them?
Mr. CEO?
Part B, hang on, Part B about the councillors actually being allowed on the group was not even responded to. You gave me the response of Section 210 of the Local Government Act provides the role of councillors to participate in the deliberation and decision-making of the local government and council and committee meetings and advisory groups which are administrative in nature. So my question, when did Section 210 get amended, making these advisory groups administration in nature? And please answer the previous month's question, where does it specifically state councillors are no longer allowed on these groups?
Thank you, Worship. I'll take that question on notice.
Thank you. And my last one. With respect to questions last meeting about the editing of the live stream, due to the confidential questions, we were advised that the seniors had not given permission to waive confidentiality. We stated they never thought it was confidential to start with, and they don't care who knows the terms. So my question, if the senior citizens put this in writing to the council, will the council reconsider their position on chopping of the live stream and put it back where it belongs for the purposes of transparency?
Mr. CEO?
Thank you, Your Worship. As I've stated at previous meetings, this is a confidential matter. I have nothing further to add. Thank you.
Thank you
That
very
didn't
much.
answer the question either.
Thank you. Martin Cardoso, your personal questions first.
Thank you, Your Worship. Martin Cardozo, Redcliffe. Good evening, Mayor, councillors, city staff and members of the public gallery. Before I begin, I'd like to wish the Mayor, councillors and all city staff a safe and happy Christmas and a holiday break, and thank staff for their hard work over the past year. Your Worship, for clarity and to avoid any misunderstanding, I want to outline the framework I am relying on. The Local Government Act governs meeting procedure. The State Records Act governs record creation and retention. The FOI Act governs access to records. These acts operate sequentially and not in conflict. At the September Ordinary Council meeting, I brought the city's information statement to Council's attention during public question time. That document is a statutory declaration to the state government and classifies agenda briefing forums as public meetings. This evening, I'm also introducing Council to Council Policy 43, the city's own records management policy, which requires records to be created at the point of activity and applies to elected members as well as staff. Neither the information statement nor Council Policy CP 43 were provided to Council when the live streaming policy was considered. The questions I'm asking tonight arise from these documents and are therefore new. They are asked for a better Belmont. Importantly, if the City believes any of these questions have been asked previously, I ask that the meeting date and minute reference be identified so that residents can verify that response for the public record. My first question. In at least 6 agenda briefing forums in the past 12 months, residents presented verbal submissions or deputations, yet the matrices record no content at all, often only that a submission was presented. Given that Council Policy CP 43 requires records to be created at the point of activity, and the State Records Act requires accurate and complete records, how does a record that captures only the fact that a submission occurred, but none of its substance, satisfy those obligations at the time the record is created?
Mr. Seer?
Thank you, Worship. Despite the opening comments from Mr Cardozo, I do believe that these are very similar or variations or duplicates of similar questions that have been asked at all of those council meetings, and therefore I have nothing further to add than the responses I've provided previously, that we believe everything we do in this chamber is consistent with the legislation and compliant with those acts. Thank you, Your Worship.
Next question, please, Martin.
Thank you. Question number 2, Your Worship. Council Policy CP 43 requires records to be created that accurately record the performance of functions, provide accountability for decisions made, and show the reasoning and context for decision making. At agenda briefing forums, the matrices routinely record detailed officer responses, yet never record which councillor asked the underlying question or made the comment that prompted that response. Given CP 43's requirement to provide accountability and context, how can a record that removes all attribution of councillor questions or comments be considered an accurate or complete record of the City's business?
Mr. Seer?
Thank you, Your Worship. Again, I would suggest that these are either duplicates or variations on questions that have been asked previously. I made it quite clear that, and have on a number of occasions, that the minutes that are recorded so in accordance with the legislation, capturing a summary of the questions and a summary of responses as we are required to do under the legislation. Thank you, Your Worship.
Next question, please.
Your Worship, I've already asked that the reference be identified for the public record, but moving on to question 3. Your Worship, Council Policy CP 43 requires the City to create and keep proper records of its business, and records can only be destroyed under an approved process. The City has confirmed on the public record that audio of agenda briefing forums is recorded continuously for minute-taking verification purposes. So when a resident makes a verbal submission at an agenda briefing forum, the audio exists, but no record of what they said appears in the official matrix. Can the City clarify one of 2 things for the public? Was that submission never turned into a record at all, despite the audio existing? Or was it turned into a record and later removed, and if so, under what authority?
Mr. Seer?
Thank you, Worship. Again, I would consider these to be duplications or variations of questions asked previously on this matter. As I have stated previously, the records are and our minutes are a summary of what was discussed. They're not verbatim. And I have previously pointed out to Mr. Cardozo that any deputations and submissions that are submitted in writing prior to the meeting do end up as a record. Thank you, Your Worship.
Next question, please.
Question 4. At the November agenda briefing forum, the matrix records Ms Hollands presented a submission for the local planning policy, number 20, Great Eastern Highway Urban Corridor, yet no summary of what she said appeared anywhere in the public record. Similarly, at the December agenda briefing forum, The matrix records a submission that was made by Mr Russell in relation to the tree canopy policy, but again, no summary of what he said appears in the official record. Given that agenda briefing forums are classified as public meetings, in the information statement, the City has confirmed that continuous audio is recorded and the matrix becomes the adopted minutes of the ABF. Can the City please provide a brief summary of the submissions presented at both of those meetings?
Mr Sear.
Thank you, Worship. Again, duplications and variations of questions asked over the last few months. And to be honest, I have nothing further to add other than what we provide in the minutes complies with the legislation. Thank you, Your Worship.
Your questions for East Ward Connect.
Thank you, Your Worship. Your Worship, Martin Cuttos on behalf of Belmont East Ward Connect. Your Worship, the omissions I've raised are concerning in their own right. However, a more serious issue has now emerged: the alteration of the public record of an open meeting after it entered the public domain. This is not an omission, it is a deletion. These questions are asked, as always, for a better Belmont. Question 1, Your Worship. 2 public questions asked that the October Ordinary Council meeting were removed from the live stream after the meeting without any council resolution and while the meeting remained open under section 5.23 of the Local Government Act. Sections 5.42 and 5.43 make it clear that powers relating to meeting procedure cannot be delegated to administration, and section 5.46 requires any delegation to be recorded in the Delegated Authority Register. Under what authority did administration alter the public record of an open meeting when Council did not resolve to close the meeting, restrict the content, or direct the CEO to amend the record?
Mr Sear.
Thank you, Worship, and I'm sure I've responded to this or similar questions at a previous meeting. The council policy certainly identifies, I believe, section 5.23 of the Act. The information that was raised at that meeting was relating to a confidential agreement between us and another party. And the policy clearly states that anything that's confidential in nature will not be provided in the live streaming or recorded in the minutes. Thank you, Worship.
Next question, please.
At the November Ordinary Council meeting, the City stated that ABF content is exempt from FOI because it is already in the public domain. Yet in October, administration removed public questions from the Ordinary Council meeting live streaming after the meeting, meaning that information is now no longer in the public domain. How can the City rely on a public domain argument while simultaneously deleting public information from the record of an open meeting?
Mr Sear.
Thank you, Worship. The reality is that should never have been in the public domain. It was a confidential matter between us and another party, and it was removed in accordance with legislation which was supported by the Department of Local Government and from external advice that we received. Thank you, Your Worship.
Next question, please.
Question 3. Can the City identify the specific delegation recorded under section 5.46 of the Local Government Act that authorises administration to alter or delete the public record of an open meeting after it has entered the public domain, given that section 5.43 prohibits delegating powers relating to meeting procedure?
Mr Sear.
Thank you, Worship. I believe section 5.23 of the Act clearly articulates that, but I'll take that question on notice.
Your final question.
Final question. Question 4, Your Worship. Will the City table or publish the Delegated Authority Register entry that authorises administration to delete public questions from an open meeting after the meeting has remained open and the material has already entered the public domain, or can the City confirm that no such delegation exists?
Mr Sear.
Thank you, Worship. As I said, I believe section 523 of the Act applies and council policy applies on this matter, but again, I'll take that question on notice.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms G.
Janet G. Cloverdale. Good evening, councillors, mayor, people in the gallery. And Councillor Harris. I'm glad that Councillor Harris is with us now, but considering the problems that you guys experienced at the beginning of the meeting, was this not checked before the meeting?
Is that your first question?
Yes, please.
Could we have quorum, please? Director of Corporate Governance.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, the system was checked. It was working 2 minutes before the meeting. Councillor Harris confirmed that he could hear us and we could hear him. We then put him on hold, waiting for the meeting to commence. Once the meeting commenced, we then removed the hold and he could not hear us. We could hear him, and that's what's taken the issue. We're more than happy that the system's been tested this afternoon, yesterday and this evening. These things happen.
And I was here very early and I can confirm that. Your second question, please.
Right. For many years, the electors' meetings are held for the electors. Electors attend them. And as it's been stated, some of us take a long time getting motions together or questions and actually reading and putting together what's happened over the 12 months. And we attend in good faith. So it seems now that there's no good faith around. We're not having councillors attending, which I know you're saying that they don't have to, but one would think when it's election time, you come round asking for our vote. You're interested in what we're interested in. We're all trying to work for a better Belmont. You would think you would at least make an effort to attend. And then it comes to asking questions. I want councillors to start thinking about when we put these motions in, would it not be fair if you guys actually pulled them out? Even if you voted them separately, can I ask that councillors please look at taking these motions out and making it at least look as though you guys are taking an interest?
So that question will be up to
Point
each
of order,
councillor.
Mr Mayor.
Oh, go ahead.
I think that's a breach of Standing Orders Local Law 6.42b, as I believe that Ms G is implying that we've not acted in good faith.
I'm asking...
Sorry, no, and I would agree with that.
Okay,
Please refrain that or remove or do not.
I'll try and reframe it then. I'm just asking councillors...
Ask your question, please. Is the best way, just ask.
Yeah. Can councillors please look at this going forward and actually look at our motions and give them some consideration? Because when you vote en bloc to let them all go through, it gives us the impression that we've just done all that for nothing because you've not taken any interest.
Well, that question will be up to each councillor, but I can assure you when I read them, I make a very careful decision on how I will vote. I'm sure as everybody else would too in this room. Mr CEO wishes to add something.
Yeah, just the point of clarification. I don't believe Ms G or the Belmont Resident Ratepayer Action Group moved any motions at the meeting, but council will consider that at the February meeting, and it will then be up to councillors to determine whether they want to pull them out or whether they want to deal with them en bloc. Thank you, Worship.
Mr Mayor, through you, I announced myself as Janet G tonight. I didn't announce I was doing anything on behalf of Bragg. I'm here as myself, and it's just asking the councillors to please have a look. I have put motions up before, and yes, I've done it on behalf of Bragg in the past, but I've put motions up about people standing here having their face on the screen, and you're precluding people with domestic violence issues and that because there's no way they could attend here knowing that their face could be on the screen. So some of the motions we do put up have a lot of background to them, and all I'm asking is will you as a council just consider looking at these motions?
I'm sure they will. Each person will look at them very carefully in February, and it's up to them how they will vote. Next question, please.
No, that's it. Thank you.
Very much. There being no more questions, I close public question time at 7:16 p.m. Confirmation of of minutes and receipt of matrix. The matrix for the agenda briefing forum for the 9th of December. Are there any questions on the matrix? May I have a move and a seconder? Councillor Davis. Councillor Sessions. Voting is now open. Please use the buttons on your microphone screen. Councillor Harris, will you please say which way you're voting, for or against? Councillor Harris, can you hear me?
Mr. Mayor.
I'm sorry?
I'm voting for. Thank you.
Thank you. Carried unanimously, 9 votes. Thank you. Ordinary Council meeting held on the 25th of November 2025. Are there any questions on the minutes, please? May I have a move and seconder? Moved by Councillor Gurjitsky, seconded by Councillor Davis. Voting is now open. Please use the buttons on your microphone screen. Councillor Harris, will you please say which way you're voting, for or against, please?
Voting for, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Carried unanimously. Seven, questions by members of which due notice has been given. Without discussion, there are none. Response to questions taken on notice, there are none. Questions by members without notice. Are there any questions by members? No. Is there any new business of an urgent nature? I don't believe so. Any business adjourned for the previous meeting? There is none. Reports of committees. 11.1, Audit and Risk and Improvement Committee, held on the 17th of November 2025. Are there any questions on the minutes? There are none. You'll see it on the screen there. May I have a mover and seconder that the Council adopt the committee recommendations that the minutes of the Audit and Risk Committee and Improvement Committee meeting held on the 17th of November be received and noted. Moved by Councillor Sakula, seconded by Councillor Davis. The voting is now open. Please use the buttons on your microphone screen. Councillor Harris, will you please say which way you're voting for or against, please?
Voting for. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Carried unanimously. Reports of administration. We'll go through them. 12.1, draft local planning policy number 21, trees and private land, has been withdrawn by Councillor Gurjitsky. Perth Airport preliminary draft master plan for 2026, submission. Council policy review for 2025, Councillor Marks. Accounts for payments, 12.4. 12.5, monthly financial report for November. Sorry, I could just see in the corner of your eye your hand going up. Was that? No? Okay, thank you. So we have, at the moment, a mover and seconder to adopt the balance of the reports en bloc with absolute majority decision, with the exception of 12.1 and 12.3. Need a mover and seconder, Councillor Sessions, seconder, Councillor Gurjitsky. Voting is now open. Please use the buttons on your microphone screen. Councillor Harris, will you please say which way you are voting, for or against?
Voting for. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Sessions, carried unanimously. Thank you. We now move to 12.1, moved by Councillor Gurjitsky. An alternative motion, which will be on the screen. Here it comes. We need a seconder, Councillor Sessions. Over to you, Councillor Gurjitsky.
Thank you, Mayor Rossi. I'm proposing an alternative motion to that presented on page 156 of our agenda papers tonight, as presented on the screen. This motion reads as follows.
Sorry, Councillor Gurjitsky, we need to modify what was on the screen. Apparently it's not what you had submitted. and modified. So we'll just halt for a minute and just see. The latest update is not on the screen. While we get this sorted, we'll adjourn for 5 minutes. Give everyone a break. The latest version is on the screen for everyone to see. Councillor Kulczycki, can you please confirm and read through that just very carefully to ensure that is the latest one?
Yes, it does resemble the latest version of this alternative motion.
Resemble or is the latest?
It is.
Thank
it does
you.
reflect. That is the more
Fantastic.
correct word.
Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this alternative motion reads as follows. That Council notes the draft policy that's been presented in our agenda papers tonight, and then part two split into three actions directed at the CEO, which include the following. Investigate broadening the scope and intent of the draft local planning policy so that it more fully aligns and encompasses the principles and framework of the Wolga tree retention planning policy. B, present the outcomes of the investigation and any revisions to the draft policy at the next ordinary council meeting, which is scheduled for the 24th of February 2026, so that council can consider this and then present it to the community for advertising under the relevant legislation. And then part C, to investigate appropriate planning framework provisions concerning sustainable development practices, which provides for incentives to the application of sustainable development design principles, including those that complement and further enhance the application of Local Planning Policy 21 for Council to consider in line with the local planning scheme review process which is underway. I'll move on to the reasons why I'm putting this forward. So the draft Local Planning Policy number 21 represents a considered response by planning officers to the State Administrative Tribunal decision in Zorzi versus the Town of Cambridge, and provides important clarity regarding exemptions for tree removal under the Planning and Development Regulatory Framework. Notwithstanding the work undertaken by planning officers, the current draft policy focuses primarily on exemption thresholds rather than a broader proactive framework for the retention and protection of mature trees on private land. And for this reason, I'm advocating the City reviews the draft policy and investigates broadening the scope and intent so that it encompasses the principles of the Wolga tree retention policy more closely. During community consultation undertaken as part of the City's urban forest strategy, it was demonstrated that there is strong public support for the retention of mature trees and protection of canopy cover, which is not fully reflected in the scope or intent of the draft policy that is presented. Council has previously articulated a clear intent to balance housing infill and density with environmental sustainability outcomes through its endorsement of the draft housing and local planning strategies. More comprehensive tree retention policy would direct support for these strategic objectives. Broadening the policy to align with the WOG model would enable tree retention to be considered earlier and more consistently throughout the planning decision-making process, including for subdivision, development, design, assessment, and this would be rather than in the point of a tree removal. A revised policy informed by the Wolga model would provide greater certainty to applicants, reducing risk of inconsistent decision-making, and strengthens the City's ability to protect trees while remaining compliant with state government planning legislation. Deferring the advertising to allow for a revised draft will ensure that the policies placed before the community reflects Council's strategic intent and community expectations. Earlier this year at the Council meeting in March, Council endorsed the draft housing strategy and local planning strategy, which among various goals emphasised the need to accommodate housing growth and infill while improving sustainability outcomes, urban amenity and also environmental resilience. A dedicated local planning policy on sustainable development practice would provide a clear and practical mechanism to translate these strategic objectives into a development assessment and design quality outcomes. Finally, establishing a complementary local planning policy focused on sustainable development incentives would enable council to proactively encourage best practice design responses, and this may include tree retention, water-sensitive urban design, energy efficiency and climate-responsive building. This approach would support the effective implementation of local planning policy number 21 and reinforce council's strategic intent to balance housing delivery with long-term environmental and livability outcomes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Very extensive. Move to seconder.
Thank you, Mayor Rossi. Just to say that I think this aligns well with our urban forest strategy, and that's why I support it. And also to note, Councillor Harris, I believe, put in an alternative motion as well, and I do believe that the items he amended can be covered under Councillor Kulczycki's motion.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak for or against? Councillor Davis?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd actually like to defer this motion because the Walga model tree retention, the Walga model tree retention local planning policy, I'd like to delve further into that and discuss that further because it hasn't really been discussed in the report to my knowledge. It's nothing that we have to rush through. I don't feel that we have to rush through this policy, and I think it's important to know exactly what we're doing because one of the things with this policy is people might start cutting down trees if they know the ones that are over 8 metres high, and I don't want that to happen. So it can go the other way as well. So I think we really need to know what the Walga model tree retention local planning policy is. Well, I do, and I'd like more information on this, please. Thank you.
So you wish to foreshadow a motion to defer. Thank you. Anybody else wishes to move? Anyone wishes to speak on the item? No.
Councillor Harris.
I was about to go to Councillor Harris, but first Councillor Marks.
Just quickly, we have got a foreshadowed motion from Councillor Harris as well. Considering everything, if this isn't something that has to be done immediately, and I must admit that I'm not completely au fait with what the local government department has written out as a model, I wouldn't mind looking at it again either. So I would be backing up a deferral at this point.
Anybody wishes to speak? Anybody else wishes to speak before I go to Councillor Harris? Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe it should be deferred until another day. I'm on Welga, and so is there's two of us on Welga, and we'd like to hear what Welga think about it before we start voting here tonight.
They've released it's gone. Quick, back on the screen, please. Walga have released a model tree retention local planning policy already. It's been out for a while, so it is already out there. Councillor Harris, did you wish to add anything or wish to speak?
Only to add that I support Councillor Kulczycki's alternative here and don't think we need to defer it further. Thank you.
Thank you. I also, if nobody else wishes to speak, I also support Councillor Kulczycki's motion. Yes, it is truly a balancing act, development versus tree retention, but I hope the incentives will help save many trees on private properties. So I will support what's in front of me. Back to Councillor Kulczycki.
Thank you, Mayor Rossi. So I've addressed the main benefits of the motion that I see from my perspective that Council can consider. The motion that I put here actually does defer our decision up until February next year, because what we've been asked for through the officer recommendation is to endorse the draft that is presented to us tonight, so that it already may be advertised. And I'm very aware of the risk that this motion also takes and brings, in that we'll now have essentially a 2-month period where residents in the community may actually decide to damage trees until such time that there is clarity from council as to a decision on how we retain trees on private land. There is the case of Zorzi versus the town of Cambridge and the decision that was endorsed through the State Administrative Tribunal through their decision of the case, which provides precedence. However, we do need further clarity, and I believe this motion takes a cautious approach in that we are deferring the decision until February, and so that we may have the opportunity to review the WALGA contribution or elements that could further enhance this proposal. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
We'll now go to a vote.
Just quickly a question.
Yes,
Mr.
go
Mayor,
ahead.
to you. Just having listened to that, what is being said here is that even if we defer it or if we pass the motion that Councillor Kojitski has put forward, we are in fact deferring it. Is that what I just heard? So there's no point in asking for a deferment if we've already deferred it.
Mr. Sear, I'll get some information for you. Mr. Sear.
I might defer to the Director of Development and Communities, who's assisted in the preparation of this motion to confirm. Thank you, Your Worship.
I believe point A 2B gives clarity, but over to the Director.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So yes, Councillor Kojitski's proposed motion is to defer it for further investigations into the draft policy to be presented back for Council to consider at the February OCM.
Councillor Davis, question?
Could we consider it for the March one instead? Just to give us more time?
That would be up to Councillor Kojitski if he is willing to move the month.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask what other members of the council think of this extension?
No, that would require a vote. So you'll need to decide whether you want to move it by 1 month or not.
Okay, so we've been presented information tonight to make a decision. With what we've been presented, I think would be better for us to defer it. At the same time, we now run the risk that between December and February, or potentially March, if we were to accept your suggestion, Councillor Davis, that residents may actually follow through and damage their trees until such time that there is clarity. So that's a balancing act that we'll need to consider.
Okay, so for clarity, you're saying leave it to February. Okay. Well, now
from a risk perspective, Mr. Mayor, I think it would be suitable if we brought this to February.
We'll now put it to a vote. Voting is now open. Please use the buttons on your microphone screen. Councillor Harris, will you please say which way you're voting, for or against?
I vote for. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Carried unanimously. Thank you, everybody. We now move to 12.3, Council Policy Review. Councillor Marx, as the mover.
Yes, I have a procedural motion, Mr. Mayor, in this. I'd like to refer this back to an information forum to give councillors more time to review the policy involved.
Seconder for procedural, Councillor Sakula. Thank you. We'll now go to a vote. We haven't voted yet. Voting is now open. Please use the buttons on your microphone screen. Councillor Harris, will you please say which way you're voting, for or against?
I'll vote for. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Ryan. Councillor Ryan, just tap lightly. Okay. Councillor Harris has voted for also. Councillor Ryan, are you in support of for or against? So you say it out loud. For. Carried unanimously. Thank you, everybody. We move to 13. Reports by the Chief Executive Officer. Requests for leave. Are there any requests for leave, Mr CEO? None. Notice of motion. There are none. Matters in which the meeting may be closed. I will now close the meeting in accordance with section 5.232C of the Local Government Act of 1995. May I have a move and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Sessions, seconded by Councillor Davis. Voting is now open. Please use the buttons on your microphone screen. Councillor Harris, will you please say out loud which way you're voting, for or against?
I vote for. Thank you, Mr.
For.
Mayor.
Thank you. Carried unanimously. Would the IT officer please pause the live stream? Would those in the public gallery please depart the chamber? Thank you. I invite the public back into the meeting. There are two items. 14.1, the tender, Belvedere Street Streetscape Revitalisation Project, the construction, that council accepts the officer recommendation in relation to this item, moved by Councillor Sessions, seconded by Councillor Davis, carried unanimously. 14.2, the tender, provision of construction waste disposal services and supply of recycled materials, that council accepts the officer recommendation in relation to this item, moved by Councillor Sessions, seconded by Councillor Davis, carried unanimously. There being no further business to conduct, I thank all those in attendance and close the meeting at 7:50 p.m. I wish everyone an enjoyable and safe festive season ahead. May I remind all elected members to please return all confidential documents to the box in the foyer of the councillors' entrance here at the Civic Centre. Enjoy your break.